July 20, 2023 regular village board meeting of the Glencoe Village Board. I call the meeting to order, and let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hallwax.
Here.
Trustee Listner.
Here.
Trustee Mealopoulos.
Here.
Trustee Onderdunk. Here. Trustee Rubin.
Here.
Trustee Scott.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And I'm here. We have a quorum. Okay, in compliance with the village's policies to participate remotely, trustees Hallwax and Rubin have requested to do so for tonight's meeting. Unless there's a trustee who objects, as a physical quorum is present, our trustees that are joining remotely can participate in the meetings as well. Any objection? There aren't any. We're live streaming this meeting, and we've posted the links to the live stream on the village's social media pages. We'll make the recording available on the village's YouTube channel following the conclusion of tonight's meeting. The next item is the consideration of the minutes. The minutes have been circulated. They're the committee of the whole minutes from June 15th, the Board of Trustees regular meeting for June 15th. Does anybody have any comments or corrections? And if not, is there a motion to approve them?
So moved.
I heard a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Voice, all in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next item is public comment. This portion of the meeting allows for those in attendance to address the board on non-agenda items. I'll ask the public comments that relate to agenda items to be provided when we reach those items on the agenda. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and I'll tell you when your time is up. Are there any non-agenda comments? There aren't any. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the reports of committees. And the first report is the Committee of the Whole. We just had the Committee of the Whole meeting a few minutes ago. We covered two things. The first was consideration of traffic changes concerning Hofelder Road. And after hearing from the community, from the village staff, we directed some changes on Hofelder. And the second issue for the Committee of the Whole was the community survey results, which Sammy presented to us, and which were really good, and for which we are all grateful for the excellent work our staff has done. That was the Committee of the Whole. The next report is the Finance Committee. Trustee Rubin, if you can hear us.
Nikki's going to do it
Oh,
on his behalf.
Okay. Our finance director.
Not that one. That one. Yep.
Okay. Oh, man. Hopefully you can hear me.
Welcome.
Can I just grab it?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so we had a special Finance Committee meeting on Friday morning, and at that meeting we discussed the monthly financial report for the month of June. As of the end of June, the general fund revenue performance remained strong, with several areas outperforming budgetary targets and higher than last year, including our places for eating taxes, building permits, use taxes, and parking fees. I'm sure you've all seen that in the Metro lots. That's definitely rebounding. Property taxes are now on track with budgetary targets. We will continue to monitor the timing of the second installment, which just was announced earlier this week. The due date for that will be December 1st. Still not an ideal situation from a cash flow standpoint, but certainly better than last year, at least by 30 days. Our water revenues remain strong due to continued irrigation patterns, and as Trustee Hallwax, I'm sure will cover later, the golf club far exceeded its revenue budget due to wonderful breaking number of rounds played. Our current monthly financial report reflects the closing of 2 series of bond issues, 2023A, which is the alternate revenue bond issue for the water fund. That will be funding water main improvements for the next 3 years. And 2023B, which is the first installment of our golf club project bonds. That was approximately $3.1 million. This is the first planned installment of 3 installments in total. And this will be to fund the golf club project that was approved by Glencoe voters. Expenditures in all funds are within budgetary targets at this point in time, although the village is continuing to experience upward pressure on the costs of many supplies, services, and experiencing a number of supply chain disruptions. So these will all be taken into consideration as we start to jump into budget season, which will be happening as soon as next month. And then the committee also discussed progress on this year's capital plan, several target changes on timelines for a number of projects. But we are happy to report that there is only one remaining vehicle on order without an anticipated delivery date. So that is great news for us. And that completes my report.
Thank you for that report. Next item on the agenda is a report on the Plan Commission. Trustee Listener.
Yes, well, we met in June, on June 28th. One of the primary things we did at that meeting was consider the exterior appearance review for the proposed commercial building that was going to replace the Walgreens store in Hubbard Woods. It is a 3-story building. We did approve the exterior appearance review. Basically, we looked at their samples of colors, approved those, and then had some additional conditions kind of tied to the approval relating to trees and landscaping, a safety issue with the alley leading to the street on Scott Avenue. But they finally made it through, so that's been a long process. Then we also worked on the comprehensive plan, which is continuing to evolve. It's obviously a very lengthy process. We are meeting next week. I'm excited because we're going to do the exterior appearance review for the proposed property at 668 Vernon, which is going to be the Honey Butter Fried Chicken restaurant, which is going to be coming to Glencoe. So we're going to be reviewing that on next week. Thank you.
Thanks for that report. And next, the Golf Advisory Committee, Trustee Hallwax, if you can hear us.
I sure can. Greetings from Great Falls, Montana. And I apologize I'm not in there in person to report such a great month for the golf course. June was a fantastic month, a record-breaking month in terms of rounds played. We had 272 rounds per day, 8,143 rounds on the month, so we've exceeded revenue by $152,000. I've said this before, you go there at 6:30 p.m. and you see foursomes teeing off. It's absolutely glorious. Electric cart revenue exceeded the budget by $30,000. Again, surge in play and no real big rainfalls till the end of the month. And the staff, which has just done a fantastic job, also put on this wonderful event for the Audubon BioBlitz. And this was to identify as many species as possible in the area and showcasing the environmental value of the golf course. So we had 87 people participate and 132 species were identified. So kudos to the staff for their continued hard work and putting on great events and being busy every single day of the month. And that's all I have for now.
Thanks for that report. Next is the Sustainability Task Force, Trustee Himi Halopoulos.
Let's see, does this work?
Not yet.
I'll just yell. That's okay.
Or try Dudley's.
Hi, everyone. As part of the Party in the Park on July 3rd, the Glencoe Park District increased its sustainability efforts by using composting eating utensils. And to support these efforts, the STF donated $1,000 to the Park District to offset some of these costs. The STF also participated in the July 4th parade and handed out very enthusiastically special seed paper bookmarks. Next, we're planning to participate in the Green Bay Trail Day, which is scheduled for July 29th, so please mark your calendars. The focus of this year's booth will be composting. The STF is working with the Friends of the Green Bay Trail on a public awareness campaign around buckthorn, a non-invasive, a non-native invasive tree, and a public awareness campaign around removing buckthorn. The campaign will be called The Buckthorn Stops Here. And that's all I have.
Thanks for that report. Next, the Council for Inclusion and Community, Trustee Scott.
Thank you. The Glencoe Council for Inclusion and Community met on Wednesday the 12th, that was last Wednesday, and continued their conversation of 2023 activities, as well as a recap of the activities of the previous month, sort of the previous month, the 4th of July, and also an activation we had in June around Pride Month during the sidewalk sale. Those were well received by the community. And a discussion of an end of summer event, sort of a pop-up nature. So the date and time will be determined somewhat by the weather, but meant to be geared for, end of summer, back to school sort of time frame. And we discussed our speaker series for the fall as well. And that was it.
Thanks for that report. And next, the Preservation Commission, Trustee Onderdunk.
Okay. The Glencoe Preservation Commission met on Tuesday, July 11th at Village Hall. Most of the meeting was devoted to a preliminary review of a proposed certified landmark status for a single-family mid-century modern home located at 80 Estate Drive. Both Marilee Spratz, daughter of the original owner, and Skippy Mesro, the owner's grandson, were present in person or in video and grew up in the home. They would like to protect both the exterior and interior of this unique home before the sale of the property. They've hired Ramsey Historic Consultants to help with the application. A public hearing by the Preservation Commission on this application is scheduled for August 8th at 5:30 p.m. Following an on-site visit last month, the Commission discussed potential honorary landmark application for 828 Bluff Street, but they have not proceeded with their application at this point in time. The Commission is looking forward to the possibility of meeting with the Village Board Committee of the Whole meeting to discuss additional opportunities. They hopefully can be on the next Village of the Whole meeting in August, if at all possible. So they'll be meeting again on August 8th to accommodate the 80 Estate Drive application, which is really quite interesting. So with that, thank you very much.
Thanks for that report. That concludes the reports of committees. So the next item on the agenda is reports of officers, and first, the village manager report. Village Manager Crowley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Just a few quick items on the manager's report tonight. The first is just a notation and an advertisement for the Glencoe Festival of Art, which is taking place Saturday and Sunday this weekend, July 22nd and 23rd. We will be shutting down the downtown streets, particularly Park Avenue and Vernon, at about 5 p.m. on Friday. Those streets will stay closed through about 10 p.m. on Sunday, and they will be back open in time for Monday morning. That is sometimes an impact to our downtown businesses. We've been trying to keep information in front of them relative to that change, and we'll continue to share updates. The event itself is always a really well-attended and a really great art festival. There are more than 90 artists that are going to be represented this year again, and this is, I believe, the 14th annual Glencoe Festival of Art. So hope everyone has an opportunity to stop out and take a look at some really amazing art in our downtown, and shop local while you're doing it. A couple of quick updates. Wanted to just make mention of the fact that construction continues in the month of July. Although we are well ahead of where we were in 2022, we are still working through our street resurfacing program. James Teague's going to give just a quick update on where things stand with that project, and a few others that are out there. James. Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. As you mentioned, the street resurfacing project is towards the tail end of the second grouping of streets. Weather dependent and, you know, hopefully no unforeseen circumstances. The current schedule is to begin paving first thing next week, and by the end of the week have striping completed and substantial completion by the end of next week. So we're getting towards the tail end there. With our bluff stabilization project, that wrapped up phase 1 in June. Our bluff stabilization and access ramp improvements. Phase 2 is slated to begin after Labor Day. And then also our water main project, that has wrapped up all work on that one too. So we've got 3 large projects getting kind of wrapped up soon.
Again, well ahead of where we were last year at this time. It's always nice when we don't have to worry about strikes that limit the amount of asphalt that's available to us. So it's a big change from 2022. Still a lot of work that's been done, and special thanks to our Public Works and Engineering team for continuing to facilitate all of that. And thanks to our residents and businesses. We know that there is a negative impact sometimes from construction. We try for that to be as brief as possible and as minimal as possible in terms of the disruption, but we do know that that can change where people think they can park. Particularly, we're working on a downtown street this year that's unique, and we know that's impacted a few of our businesses. So we appreciate everyone's patience as we work through that. Just real quickly, we started to talk a bit about this, but the Finance Committee, starting in August, is really going to, in earnest, begin the budget development process for fiscal year 2024, which begins January 1st. We will be publishing and talking about a calendar for the budget process at the August Finance Committee meeting. We'll also begin the process of reviewing our financial policies. As you know, it's 2 seasons in Glencoe and everywhere: construction and budget. So just when we think we've spent enough time away from having to worry about the budget, we start all over again. So we're looking forward to getting that process kicked off. One of the things that will help with that process is obviously the community survey results, which were presented at the Committee of the Whole. We will also be conducting strategic planning in the first quarter of 2024, and that information in that community survey will be particularly important for that effort. So we look forward to the several planning processes that are underway and will be soon. Lastly, I just wanted to provide a quick update, and Jeff Maudsley is going to do so, on our lead service line replacement program. Obviously, this board spent a lot of time earlier this year talking about it, and Jeff's just going to give a quick update. Jeff.
Thank you. As of today, the cost sharing program has received 55 applications. This breaks down to 32 requests for water service replacements for this calendar year, and then 17 of the look-back requests that the board allowed for the 2021 and 2022 replacements. That is ahead of our previous year's totals of lead service replacements. And for 2021 and 2022, we only had 25 in total, so we're way ahead of where we were the last 2 years. The requested reimbursement total is $308,453.75. This does exceed the amount that the board budgeted this year for this program. So our intention is to honor every reimbursement request by reimbursing all that we can this year, and then deferring any that we can't reimburse this year until next year when we have additional funds to reimburse those. They are on a first-come, first-served basis, so as projects are wrapping up and submitting the final documentation, we will reimburse them, and then we will do so until funds are exhausted.
A quick question. I assume we're reimbursing the new work rather than the look-backs first.
That's correct. The new work receives precedent. So at this point, none of the look-backs will be reimbursed this year. We'll have to defer all of those until next year. This assumes that all of this work is completed this year, that's been applied for. And I do anticipate that we will get more applications as the year goes on.
Thank you, Jeff. That concludes my report for this evening, though I might reserve a moment or two to talk about a certain somebody in the room when the village president's report is underway, if that's okay with.
It will be.
Yes.
So the next item on the agenda is the village president's report. The first item there is consideration of a resolution establishing the ad hoc design review committee. And I'll ask the assistant to the village manager, John Payton, to give a brief overview concerning this committee.
Thank you, President Rowan. This is the first of 4 items related to the golf clubhouse project on the agenda tonight. As you'll remember, at the June Committee of the Whole, we started these discussions, at that time focusing on the agreements that we would approve for services for architectural and construction management. We'll visit those later in the agenda. The process for the new clubhouse is going to start with the schematic design and then move into design development. Again, making decisions about the general design elements and direction of the design, architectural style for the project, and then all the way down finishing to, you know, the smallest, most minute, finish elements of colors and finishes and products and things like that. So really take it from beginning to end. And for this process, the architectural service that we will contract with will lead that process and put us on a path to be efficient and effective in making those decisions. But ultimately, it's the recommendation of staff at the village board create this ad hoc design review committee to be able to be the public venue for this process. Ultimately, the goal would be that not only would it be the venue for the public engagement, but it also would do things to work on ways to engage the community in parts of these decisions so that folks can have an opportunity to say their piece with that. Again, this would create the ad hoc review committee that would have a series of meetings. All of those meetings would be open to the public, and we'd obviously notarize those, but also, use our communication channels to encourage people to attend if they have opinions or thoughts on the design of the building. I think my final thought would just be that we certainly want to have the opportunity for people to do these things and create opportunities for them to help make the recommendations that ultimately come to the village board, but the final decision still would lie with you guys. As you guys know, that's something that you would ultimately retain the power on. So we're hopeful that this will be something to lead to effective and efficient decision making, so that we can be thoughtful but also move the process along.
Thanks for that report. So the village is going to be building a new golf clubhouse, and the village board's going to approve that design, whatever it is. I don't feel real qualified to wing this, and so the idea here is to get people who are more qualified, certainly than I am, and I don't want to speak for the rest, to work with the contractor and the architects so they can recommend to us the best possible appearance for our clubhouse. It's all been circulated. If there are any comments, they're welcome, and if not, is there a motion to approve establishing the ad hoc design review committee?
So moved.
So moved.
I'll treat Trustee Hallwax as a
Second.
And I think we need a roll call for this.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Listner. Trustee Mialopoulos. Trustee Onderdunk. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
The motion carries, so that committee is created. The next item on the agenda is appointments to the ad hoc design review committee. We've been working on this. The names have been published in the agenda for the meeting, and I'll ask Village Manager Crowley to just remind everybody who these folks are.
Absolutely, and this is included on packet page 20 of the Village Board agenda packet this evening. There are 2 co-chairs for the Ad Hoc Design Review Committee. That's Michael Laporte and David Stern. Trustee Joe Hallwax as the Village Board liaison. Lauren Flax, Nicole Reifman, Chad Richmond, and John Ruderman.
I think we can probably do this voice vote. Is there a motion to approve these appointments? Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries, so we now have a design review committee ready to go. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation honoring the life and legacy of Newton Minow. Newton Minow was a longtime Glencoe resident who died last May at the age of 97. The resolution honoring him has been circulated, and as is our normal practice, which we're going to make an exception to a little later in the evening, but as our normal practice, we're not going to read that. But I just want to say a couple things. Newton Minow was an extraordinary lawyer, public servant, and American. After graduating at the top of his class at Northwestern Law School and clerking at the Supreme Court, he went to work for Governor Adlai Stevenson. He worked on Stevenson's two presidential campaigns, and then he had a winner. He worked on President Kennedy's successful campaign in 1960. After that campaign, and still interested in public service, he presented himself to the Glencoe caucus to serve on the library board. Here, I think we're all big fans of the caucus, but sometimes they make mistakes. And with the case of Newton Minow, they made a doozy. They rejected his candidacy, finding that the age of 34 was too young and inexperienced to serve on the Glencoe Library Board. President Kennedy did not share that view, and only a few months later, he appointed Newton Minow to be chair of the Federal Communications Commission, where Newton Minow served with distinction. And in the only quote that any of us have ever heard or remembered from the head of the FCC, branded television then as a vast wasteland. As is set forth in the resolution, after that very consequential service, he came home to Glencoe and became one of the preeminent lawyers in the United States, while still maintaining his public service on a variety of boards and commissions. He and his wife Josephine raised their shimmering family, three brilliant daughters. They raised them here. President Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2016, which is probably a little more consequential than what we're doing tonight. I regret that I never met Newton Minow, but when he died, I learned of a tiny overlap. When Barack Obama was a first-year law student at Harvard Law School, I interviewed him and tried to persuade him to come to my firm, Mayer Brown. What I didn't know, but what the New York Times said in Mr. Minow's obituary, was at the same time that I was making my efforts to recruit, the legendary, esteemed Newton Minow was recruiting him to come to his firm, Sidley & Austin. So I didn't have a chance, and President Obama went to Sidley. Unless there are additional comments, is there a motion to approve this resolution honoring the life and legacy of this most distinguished of Glencoeans, Newton Minow, who has lived a life of consequence?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is another resolution, and this one is consideration of a resolution honoring our Public Works Director, Dave Mao. We've circulated that resolution, but in a break with our precedent, which we only do every 33 years. I'm going to read that resolution, but before I do, let me just say, as everybody knows, I served on the village board a lifetime ago, and I remember when Dave Mao was introduced to the village board. This is probably 1990 or somewhere around there. And Dave has served the village ever since. I took a 35-year break. He has served the village every day since then. Um, we have, Village Hall exists, the water plant exists, although he improved those. The public works building existed then. But with everything else, every drop of pavement, every water main, he did with his team all of it. When President Roosevelt died after serving in 12 years, people said they just couldn't remember ever having another president. Well, it's been more than 30 years that Dave Mao has been Public Works in Glencoe. And, I don't know how we're going to go on it. So let me say I am proud to read the proclamation honoring what he has done. Whereas it is with great pride and gratitude that we gather today to recognize and honor the remarkable career of Public Works Director Dave Mao, who has served the Public Works Department of the Village of Glencoe for an extraordinary 33 years. And whereas the last 27 years of his career, David Mao has served as the Public Works Director, overseeing all functions of the department, which include all public works services, engineering, and community development. And whereas David Mao will retire from the Village of Glencoe on August 1st, 2023. And whereas David Mao's tenure as Public Works Director has been marked by an unwavering dedication, exceptional leadership, and an unyielding commitment to improving the quality of life for the residents of Glencoe. And whereas throughout his distinguished career, David Mao has exhibited exemplary professionalism, integrity, and a tireless work ethic, leaving an indelible mark on the Village of Glencoe. And whereas David Mao's visionary leadership has been instrumental in enhancing the infrastructure, maintaining the cleanliness, and improving the overall aesthetics of our beloved village, making Glencoe a more vibrant and attractive community for all who reside, work, and visit here. And whereas during David Mao's career, his efforts led to countless improvements to the village's infrastructure and infrastructure replacement planning processes, and he oversaw numerous significant projects that have positively impacted the daily lives of Glencoe residents, such as a 15-year street resurfacing program that upgraded the entire village's street system, millions of dollars worth of improvements to the stormwater management system in order to relieve street right-of-way and private property flooding, and replacements of decade-old water mains throughout Glencoe to more safely and reliably deliver water to Glencoe residents. And whereas David Mao's work remains a visible part of the Glencoe community through his leadership in reconstructing the Lakewood Drive Timber Bridge, redevelopment of former Forest Preserve District of Cook County land and village property on Frontage Road to become 3 auto dealerships, the enhanced streetscape and design of Tudor Court, which created a unique place in the downtown, uptown to those of us who are oldsters, and was recognized by the American Public Works Association and Consulting Engineering Council. Numerous improvements to the Green Bay Trail, including crossing improvements at Hazel Avenue, renovation of the Public Works Garage, and one of his favorite projects, restoration of the iconic Village Hall cupola. And whereas David Mao has sought to encourage and guide grassroots organizations like Friends of the Green Bay Trail and Glencoe Community Garden to create and enhance community gathering and open spaces, as well as to foster a sense of volunteerism in our community that benefits Glencoe and so many beyond its municipal boundaries. And whereas under David Mao's guidance, the Public Works Department has consistently provided essential services that have contributed to the safety, comfort, and well-being of the residents, ensuring that our village remains a premier place to live, work, and play. And whereas David Mao has demonstrated exceptional leadership by fostering a collaborative and inclusive work environment, inspiring his team to strive for excellence, and instilling in them a sense of pride and purpose in their daily responsibilities. And whereas throughout his tenure, David Mao has consistently exhibited a genuine concern for the needs of the community, actively engaging with residents, actively listening to and addressing areas of need, building relationships, and implementing innovative solutions to effectively serve the community. And whereas David Mao has been a supportive and caring teammate and leader, always demonstrates genuine servant leadership and embodies a spirit of true public service. And whereas David Mao's impact on the village of Glencoe extends far beyond his professional accomplishments, as he's been a cherished member of our community, a trusted advisor, and a friend to many, always ready with a smile, a kind word, and a helping hand. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the village president and the board of trustees of the village of Glencoe, Illinois, and its residents do hereby proclaim and recognize the retirement of David Mao, expressing our deepest gratitude for his exceptional service, unwavering dedication, and countless contributions to our community. May this next chapter in his life be a time of joy, fulfillment, and new adventures. Village Manager Corrali.
I need a moment. We have a few public events that are coming up that'll give me more of an opportunity to more formally thank Dave for what he's done for this community. And I think as President Rowan read through this document, I just don't know if there's a corner of this place that Dave doesn't know, hasn't been knee-deep in, hasn't had some conversation with some resident at some point about. And I really don't know what it looks like on August 2nd when he's not walking in the door. But what I do know is he's one of the finest human beings I know. It's been an honor and privilege to work with Dave. And I just am grateful for all that he's done as a resident of this community. I sleep better at night knowing that the work he and his team have done make Glencoe a better place. And I'm just grateful every day that I've had the opportunity to work with him for this last decade.
I think the village manager said it all, but if anyone wants to say anything, by the way, there will, as the village manager pointed out, there will be other events. I regret I won't be at them, but there will be other events, so you'll be tired of hearing from me. Okay, if there are no other comments, is there a motion to approve our proclamation? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Aye.
Do another one of those.
I'm just disappointed my good friends from Hofelder Road didn't stay around. Just very briefly, I want to thank the board and all my colleagues that I work with, both past and present, many of whom are here tonight. Just it's been quite a run, and if I conservatively calculated this, it's my public meetings have probably topped 900, which is a little staggering. And so, while I'm going to miss you all, I'm probably not going to miss you all that much. No. But again, thank you so much. I look forward to sharing some time with you over the next week here, and greatly appreciate this acknowledgement. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the president's report. The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. The consent agenda includes items that have been published online for the community and reviewed by board members either individually or as part of our committee of the whole, and we don't think they warrant further discussion. As has happened once before, one exception is item 6B, for which, as a result of a potential conflict, we're going to remove from the consent agenda so that Trustee Scott can approve the consent agenda and then not vote on item 6B. Given, subject to the removal of 6B, is there a motion to remove 6B and then approve the remainder of the consent agenda? Is there a second?
Second.
We need a roll call, and I think Trustee Scott can vote on this one.
Okay, Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Listener.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopoulos. Trustee Onderdunk. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda carries, except for 6B, which we're going to turn to next. The next item on the agenda is regular business, and the first item of regular business is the June 2023 check register for the village and the golf club. That's been circulated. This is 6B. Is there a motion to approve the check register?
Oh, I have to leave.
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm going to recuse myself from 6B.
Okay, and I'll wave at you when you come back. Let the record reflect that Trustee Scott has absented herself. Is there a motion to approve the check register? Is there a second?
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Listener.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopoulos. Trustee Onderdunk. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Welcome back. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution approving a master contract and task order number 1 with FGM Architects for professional architectural and engineering services related to the design of the Glencoe Golf Club clubhouse project. And I'll ask Assistant to the Village Manager John Pape and our Golf Club Manager Stella Nanos to present.
Thank you, President Rowan. I've been asked to help present this evening, but a lot of people put work to get this project to this point. Village Manager Phil Corrali, Golf Club Manager Stella Nanos, Village Attorney Stu Weiss, along with a partner at his firm, Brooke Leneman, who helped to review the contract. And then also with us this evening are Brian Wright from FGM and Dave Olson of Olson Construction, WB Olson. At the June Committee of the Whole, once again, we started to review these projects. Again, after the referendum, the next step in the process is to be on our way with designing the building so that we can hope to get to the point of construction drawings and starting construction in 2024. The outcome of that Committee of the Whole meeting was a consensus from the board to direct staff to develop contracts for services with both FGM and WB Olson to present those contracts at this meeting tonight. First, we're going to focus on this FGM proposal. I just wanted to detail some of the details that are in the memo. I'm not going to repeat all of it that we already talked about with the Committee of the Whole and is in it. In the FGM proposal, it's an estimated total fee for both their services and other professional services from specialty consultants that they would contract on the village's behalf. That total is $1,358,500. And again, that includes not only the fees that are directly to FGM for their services, but also the subcontractors effectively that they would help to retain. Those services include schematic design, design development. Looking at the wrong piece there. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Those specialty consultants include civil engineering, structural engineering, landscape architecture, interior design, and consultants specific to the pro shop merchandising and professional food services. So they'll bring in subcontractors to help with all of those design elements, all working into that total, and that's all detailed in the packet, dollar for dollar. Additionally, the project itself is going to be broken down into different architectural steps. So first schematic design, then design development. They'll put together all the construction documents that are not only needed for construction, but also for all the permitting. This project will be permitted with Cook County. as well as the bidding and contract negotiation to actually bring construction teams onto the site to build it, and then finally construction administration, keeping them involved to make sure that everything's designed to their plans. All of those phases will be brought as separate task orders. If you note in the motion, there's task order number 1. That number 1 is for the schematic design phase only, and each task order will be brought back for those separate steps. The way that Brooke Lenneman with Elrod Friedman has helped us structure this contract is a way that they've done it with many other architectural services for the same process. Rather than having to return to the village board for each task order that'll be entered under that master agreement, rather we provided estimates for each of those task orders, and effectively the village manager would be given the direction and discretion to approve those task orders from here on out, so long as each task order is within 5% of that cost estimate that's provided with them. Again, with FGM, as we talked about in the previous discussion with the COW and the village board, is a highly qualified firm. They both have tons of experience in professional golf clubhouses, and they both have tons of experience working with each other. And we're hopeful that this will be a good step in the partnership. Again, not only will they be involved with village staff in the administration of this, but they'll also assist in the process of working with the ad hoc design review committee to bring these design decisions kind of to the table, options that we can move through, and then finally make decisions to move the project forward. With that, I'll take any questions or turn the conversation wherever you'd like it.
Thank you for that presentation. Just for the record, we, the village board and the golf committee have met with this firm, which showed us how very well qualified it is to do this project. And with that, unless there are any questions, is there a motion to approve the resolution for the contract and task order 1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Listner.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopoulos. Trustee Underdunk. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries. That resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution approving an agreement with W.B. Olson, Inc. for construction management services related to the Glencoe Golf Club Clubhouse project. And again, assistant to the village manager, Pape, and the golf club manager, Nanos, although Stella has not come up here yet, will present.
Thank you. WB Olson is the second half of this partnership, right? The construction management side. If you remember at the June COW, we talked a little bit about the difference between construction management services and design build services. At that time, we were starting to learn some of the complications that state law presented with us using a design build process. And so for those reasons, we've elected to go with construction management. The difference between the two is mostly the fact that under a design build process, the construction manager themselves retains and is responsible for the architect. Obviously, with the last motion, we're handling that separately. Otherwise, the elements are significantly the same. All of the trades are going to be subcontracted through WB Olson. They'll ultimately be responsible for keeping the project on time, on schedule, and on budget. And ultimately, that's the service that's necessary. The village staff doesn't have the capacity nor the experience to manage a project of this magnitude, and WB Olson will bring that expertise to the table. Not only are they experienced in both the area, working frequently in Highland Park and other North Shore suburbs, but they've also worked in Glencoe. They worked in the Public Works Garage years ago. They're currently working on the Watts Park improvements there. Included in the packet is all the documents supporting WB Olson's contract tonight. The fee structure for them includes a pre-construction fee of $35,000 and then a professional services fee of 2.5% of the total cost of construction. Not only is this necessary for the construction of the project, where their expertise will become most heavily involved the day-to-day of the construction site, but also bringing them on at this point as a construction manager ensures that they're involved at every step of the way in these public meetings, in each review of iterations of the design and plans, making sure that we're not designing something that's not going to be able to be constructed on time and on budget, starting to help guide some of those decisions and make sure that, you know, both hands are talking to each other throughout the whole process. With that, Stella, I don't know if you have anything to add, but otherwise.
Thanks for that presentation. And again, there may not be a lot of discussion tonight, but the golf committee and the village board as committee of the whole have reviewed this. We are persuaded that W.B. Olson is the right outfit for the job. Mr. Olson is here, and welcome. And unless there's any question, is there a motion to approve this resolution? Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. I think we need a roll call.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Listener.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopoulos. Trustee Underdunk. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
The motion has carried, so we've approved our contract with W. Olson Inc. Okay. That is the last item of regular business. Is there any other business this evening? I don't see any. There's no closed session. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
Motion
second?
to adjourn.
There is a motion.
Second.
And I'll treat the second motion as a second. So it's been moved and seconded. I think we just do a voice vote. All in favor? The motion
Aye.
carries.
Aye.
The motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And thank you in particular to our absent board members and to Trustee Onderdunk for getting here. They're physically absent. Thank you for getting here.
I know. Well, I think we were preparing for a showdown. So when that didn't happen.
Thanks, everybody.